Quiet race that led to a negative campaign in just the final few days.
It's the race for the United States House, a seat left vacant by Congressman Tim Johnson, who's now running for the U.S. Senate. And while a runoff election among the four Democratic candidates was expected, it appears with 814 of the 883 precincts in, that former Tom Daschle aide Rick Weiland appears to be the winner tonight with 16,400 votes. Weiland has 42% of the vote. Now, 35% of the vote was needed to win. Yankton businessman Jim Abbott is running in second place with 28% of the votes tonight, followed by Dennis Jones with 18%, Linda Stensland, who carried 13% of the vote. Now, again, with one candidate needing at least 35% to claim victory tonight, it appears Rick Weiland, in his first bid for office, who has 42% so far with 814 of the precincts in, just 19 precincts are still out. Here's what he had to say just a few minutes ago about tonight's result in the race against projected winner John Thune. That you can think of?
Well, I think that, starting with how we get this budget balance, I think there's a huge difference. I mean, he's obviously supported, the Gingrich approach in this campaign, talking about basically, cutting taxes for people in this country that I would argue don't need their taxes cut, millionaires and on up, being willing to make the cuts in student loans and those kinds of programs that I think are investments in our country, things that will save us money in the long run. There are a lot of differences, and we'll have several months to talk about them.
Supporters of Democratic candidate Rick Weiland are joining the Weiland family for a primary election party at the Howard Johnson's in Sioux Falls. This is Weiland's first attempt at running for a public office, but he's not new to South Dakota politics. He has worked for Senator Tom Daschle for several years.
Democratic candidate Jim Abbott, meantime, is holding a primary election party with his supporters tonight at the Sioux Falls Brewery downtown in Sioux Falls. Abbott is a Yankton businessman who has served in the state legislature. He claimed 28% of the Democratic vote tonight with just a few precincts out, as we mentioned. In 1994, Abbott ran unsuccessfully for South Dakota's Democratic lieutenant governor. Democratic candidate Linda Stensland, meantime, is having a private party for friends and family at her home in Sioux Falls tonight. Stensland is by no means new to South Dakota politics. She spent 4 years in the state house, 4 years in the state senate. Well, again, it appears tonight that a victory march goes out to the relative newcomer in the Republican race for November's general election.
Republican John Thune carried a commanding lead all night as the final votes were being tallied. With 814 of the 883 precincts in, it appears Thune carried through with 38,979 votes, or 60%. Lieutenant Governor Carol Hillard, meantime, has 26,129 votes, or 40%. Republican candidate John Thune began the evening in Pierre with friends and family. He then flew to Sioux Falls to join supporters at the Radisson Encore Inn for a post-election party. Throughout the night, Thune has held a commanding lead over Carol Hillard, even though this is Thune's first campaign for public office. Hillard is the state's current lieutenant governor.
Moving on to the local field, it appears much of the political landscape will be staying the same.
Incumbent Minnehaha County Commissioners Robert Colby and Jerry Noonan win the Republican County Commission primary. Colby collected 34% of the votes and Noonan won 31%. Challengers Bob Hemrick and Brett Songstead each got 18% of the vote.
Meantime, in the race for District 12 State Representative, Hal Wick and Judy Rost advanced to the next election. Wick won 36% of the Republican vote, while Rost collected 34%. 30% of the voters cast ballots for Michael Weiland. Well, voter turnout here in Minnehaha County was relatively low. As a matter of fact, earlier tonight, election officials were calling it depressing. 27% of Republicans voted today, while 22% of registered Democrats went to the polls. Well, in other political news tonight, News 5 has learned of impending changes at South Dakota's U.S. Marshal's office.
Sources have informed KDLT Davidson County Sheriff Lyle Swenson is expected to be named the new U.S. Marshal within a week. Swenson joined the Davidson County Department in 1961 and has been sheriff since 1965. The Mitchell area officer has been nominated as a candidate for the U.S. Marshal job twice before. Robert Ecoffe resigned from the South Dakota's Marshal post earlier this year. Senator Tom Daschle's office in Washington says the senator hopes to make an official announcement within a week.
As News 512 at 10 continues tonight, a Brookings man who pleaded guilty to murdering his former girlfriend was sentenced today in Brookings. 26-year-old Timothy Dopp was given the mandatory life in prison sentence for second-degree murder in the October death of his former girlfriend, Lorna Amiat. According to court documents, Dopp was also given a 10-year sentence for aggravated assault, which he'll serve concurrently with his life sentence. The Brookings County Court today accepted Dopp's plea of guilty but mentally ill. Dopp will not be eligible for parole.
In other court news tonight, a federal judge has ruled that a 12-year-old boy can testify in the trial of a South Dakota man accused of kidnapping him and his 3-year-old brother. 24-year-old Boyd Dean Weekly is accused of driving a stolen car from South Dakota and kidnapping the boys last October outside a Benton Harbor, Michigan convenience store. He's standing trial for kidnapping, transporting a child across state lines with intent to sexually assault, and driving a stolen car across state lines. A U.S. district judge also selected 12 jurors to hear the case against Weekly.
A local family is without a home tonight after a morning fire that continued into this evening. Firefighters from Split Rock Township and Brandon have been at the scene of the house fire east of Sioux Falls all day. When they arrived about 10 this morning, fire officials say the home on East Callie's Place was fully engulfed. Crews had a difficult time battling that blaze because of numerous roofs and false ceilings in the structure, the result of several additions onto the home. It's believed the blaze may have started in the kitchen area and is a total loss. Family members were able to recover some belongings. The American Red Cross is helping the family tonight who's staying in a motel. No one was injured in the fire, however. One firefighter was treated for heat exhaustion.
In World Watch tonight, a European rocket carrying the latest in satellite technology exploded this morning in South America less than 1 minute after its launch. The Ariane 5 rocket was unmanned and was blown up on purpose after launch officials say the rocket veered off course. They feared it could have crashed into the Earth. The Ariane 5 was built at a cost of $7 billion. The rocket also carried 4 satellites, which were all destroyed.
The Navy's second-in-command is expected to be named to the top naval post tomorrow at the Pentagon. Administration officials say Admiral Jay Johnson will succeed Admiral Mike Borda, who committed suicide last month as Navy chief. And on a lighter note, Scott Bowden with First Weather tonight.
Student Carrie Risley grew tired of friends in her native California giving her a hard time, saying there weren't any good-looking guys in the Midwest. She set out to prove them wrong. The result was a set of postcards with the men of USD. The postcards were such a hit, selling out at the school bookstore in a month, that Carrie is now working on a calendar of hunks.
Good luck to her. When News 5 at 10 continues tonight, chances are it's happening to you before. You've put a dollar bill in the vending or video lottery machine and it's rejected. But why? We'll tell you in tonight's 5 on Your Side.
The graduating class from Henry makes its national television debut right here on NBC.
And South Dakota tourism goes high-tech, allowing travelers a sneak peek at area hotspots with only the touch of a finger. We'll explain next on News 5 at 10.
News 5 at 10 is brought to you.
But the only bills in your wallet are too crumpled for the machine to accept.
That frustrating scenario seems to be getting more common. So tonight, News 5 consumer reporter Beth Fuller takes a closer look at your money and why it's getting rejected.
The sound of rejection. They are beat up, battered, and bent, and chances are, no matter how hard you try to bring them back to life, you'll still be out of luck.
I'm not sure where all the bad ones are coming from.
If you think you're getting more than your share, you aren't alone. Nutty's casino manager Dale Zuroff says it's becoming a struggle to keep crisp dollar bills in stock.
It gets to be quite a chore. We have to go to the bank quite often and get just dollar bills, just because there are so many bad ones.
If I were giving you change back, I would not want to give you that kind of money.
Deerfield Bank in Sioux Falls is also noticing an increase of wrinkled ones. And once the bills are dog-eared, or what they call mutt, the bank sells them back to the Federal Reserve. Assistant Vice President Katie Doss thinks the machines that are so particular about which bills to accept may be part of the cause.
There seems to be a lot of what we call mutt dollar bills, where we do not want to give them back to customers with change because we're not proud of the appearance of the dollar bill. And a lot of it has to do with the video lottery.
But where do all these wrinkled dollar bills end up? In our wallets. And video lottery machines aren't the only ones that can be picky. And because bills aren't likely to get any crisper, Doss puts the crumpled currency in perspective.
You can use them, but it's just not pretty money. You know.
For News 5 on your side, I'm consumer reporter Beth Fuller.
News 5 at 10 is brought to you by Keystone.
Well, it's almost Wednesday. What are higher gas prices doing to the budgets of our local governments? Now, the city of Sioux Falls uses tax dollars like other cities to buy fuel for their vehicles. Tonight, Tracy O'Halloran finds out if the pumps are running the city dry.
The city of Sioux Falls is lucky in that they don't have to pay the high prices that the rest of us do. They buy fuel in bulk quantities, which keeps the price down to a level that no one would complain about.
We are entitled to rebates, sales tax rebates, etc., from state and government. So actually our price is a lot less than what you people are seeing at the pumps.
Since January, the city of Sioux Falls has averaged 88 cents a gallon on ethanol-blended gasoline and 74 cents for diesel fuel. So how does that compare to what the city had budgeted for?
This year we budgeted 90 cents for gasoline and 75 cents for diesel, so our average is still fairly below what we budgeted.
So far, the city of Sioux Falls hasn't had any problems with money for fuel. And if prices should skyrocket in the future, the city is safe in that they have a contingency fund they can dip into if prices go over budget. In Sioux Falls, Tracy O'Halloran, News 5.
Now that travel season is upon us, most of us want to know as much as we can about our destination before we get there.
But shuffling through papers and brochures can be inefficient, not to mention boring at times. South Dakota now offers an easy solution. Andrea Barber tonight tells us how travelers can find out about the state's hotspots all at the tips of their fingers.
Nancy Whipple and her family came all the way from Massachusetts to visit South Dakota. So when they made a stop at an information center near Valley Springs, they were excited to find a vacation guide that was quick and easy.
It had a lot of information that was very useful for somebody that's just stopping by and wants information real quickly.
Some rest areas in South Dakota are experimenting with a worldwide web system so travelers like Nancy and her family can find out what South Dakota has to offer.
You're able to access different areas of the state and be able to find out what there is to see in that part of the state.
Travelers can then choose one of many areas for more information, including maps, hotels, or South Dakota legends. And just by touching the screen, visitors can even read about the state's pioneers, Western adventures, and the Great Sioux Nation.
I think it's great. I mean, it had a tremendous amount of information. It was fairly easy to use. Once I got my finger pressing okay.
And the tourism department hopes the easy access to information will help keep visitors in the state a little longer. Near Valley Springs, Andrea Barber, News 5.
The Valley Springs Information Center is just one of 8 rest areas in the state using the World Wide Web system.
You're what?
Out there from the smallest graduating high school class in the country, and they happen to be from right here in eastern South Dakota. We'll tell you about their going from small-time academics to big-time television when we come back on News 5. Time for their sales to accommodate more vendors and offer more parking. We'll explain tomorrow.
Also watch some of our own help here at KDLT help out the American Cancer Society by bagging groceries at a local store.
Tonight.
Please welcome from Henry High School in Henry, South Dakota, the entire class of 1996, Tricia Maynard and Matt Bastian.
Well, as you just said, Tricia Maynard and Matt Bastian of Henry, South Dakota are on The Tonight Show tonight right after News 5. The show was taped earlier today. Maynard and Bastian make up the entire senior class at Henry who just graduated. Now you can see the entire interview of the South Dakota graduates in just a few minutes right here on KDLT.
Davidson County Sheriff Lyle Swenson was a candidate for U.S. Marshal. Today, Senator Tom Daschle recommended to President Clinton that he appoint Swenson to the post. Swenson has been the Davidson County Sheriff since 1965 and has been nominated as a candidate for U.S. Marshal twice before. If appointed, Swenson would replace Robert Ecofee, who resigned in April. Shifting gears, Governor Bill Janklow was blasting President Bill Clinton's proposal for a nationwide curfew.
Janklow says the president should mind his own business and concentrate on more important goals like balancing the budget. The governor says the proposal, which was suggested to fight juvenile crime, should be left up to local officials. Sioux Falls police, meantime, say the 11 o'clock curfew they enforce works well and there's no need for an earlier one.
Well, the 11 o'clock curfew that we have had and have enforced quite strongly over the last few years has seemed to make a pretty dramatic difference in some of the youth crime problems that we've had at night, and I think that the 11 o'clock curfew has proven to work here in Sioux Falls.
Governor Janklow says the president is in his campaign mode and comes up with these ideas every 72 hours.
In other state news tonight, the equivalent of 250 full-time jobs will be cut in the state transportation department in the next 3 months. Governor Janklow says the moves will save about $7 million that can be used to repair, maintain, and rebuild highways around South Dakota. Janklow says the plan will keep enough maintenance workers to take care of the routine work, and seasonal workers will be hired to deal with snowstorms and other periods of heavy work. Department of Transportation Secretary Ron Wheeler says the changes will not hurt the services the department provides. In World Watch tonight, a big stink is brewing between police in Des Moines, Iowa, and an animal rights group. Two protesters with the group People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, or PETA, tried to dump a truckload of hog manure at the entrance to the Pork Expo at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. They were each charged with depositing debris in the road, stopping in the middle of the road, and driving a vehicle with no license plate.
Finally, some activity at the Freeman Ranch in Jordan, Montana. For the first time in weeks, people have left the compound. Authorities have identified them as Gloria Ward and her common-law husband, Elwin Ward, and her 2 children. The couple have been running from child welfare officials who want to put the children in foster homes. The standoff between the FBI and the Freemen began almost 11 weeks ago. And firefighters in Alaska are finally making progress in their battle against the savage wildfire. Today, calming winds and reinforcements from the lower 48 states helped firefighters get control of the blaze, which has already burned more than 60 square miles. Officials estimate as many as 500 homes have been damaged or destroyed, while hundreds more residents wait patiently to return. Scott Bowden is in our weather center, and it was a little windy out there tonight, but for the most part, it was kind of a nice evening for a change.
Yeah, you know, I was just wondering, have you finished your deck yet?
No. Tonight, though.
Oh, I have a feeling you're going to be using it this weekend. We're going to see temperatures in the upper 80s.
Good.
Sounds good.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, well, we have to wait till the weekend until we get off of work and we can enjoy this weather. Let's go to the almanac and show you what we started out with. Started out with a temperature of 51, only warmed up to 70. Normals are 78 and 53. You saw a lot of cloud cover today, so those temperatures really didn't heat up like we would like them to have. Records are 133. We didn't even come close. Precipitation, well, none since midnight, although we may have seen a trace around 7 o'clock when we did see light rain out in Sioux Falls. We're still below normal. Sunrise 5:46. Tomorrow, sunset is at 9:05. Let's take a look at some other high temperatures across the region. 68 was the high in Pierre, 67 in Aberdeen, 68 in Watertown. Looks like Sioux Falls escaped with the warmest temperature in eastern South Dakota, but Sioux City did hit 74. The temperatures right now, 59 in Pierre, 58 in Aberdeen, 58 in Watertown, 59 in Brookings, 60 degrees right now in Sioux Falls, and we're seeing a little bit of light rain outside. Most of that has pushed off to the east. Humidity 84%, winds are out of the northwest at 15, and the barometer is rising at 29.91. Well, let's show you what's been going on for the last 24 hours. We're still seeing this low-pressure system pump a lot of clouds into South Dakota. That's why those temperatures really didn't heat up, and with some of those clouds, we even saw showers and isolated thunder showers. The good news, though, is we're starting to see some clearing out west, and that will slowly be moving east. By midnight tonight in the eastern sections, we will see partly cloudy skies, and it's just shaping up to be a nice night. Well, that low-pressure system is also associated with a cold front, and right along this front, that's where the severe weather is today. Tornadoes, winds, even a boy was struck by lightning in Arkansas, so a lot of strong weather. That's the same system we saw that moved through our region, but once it got to this point, a lot of warm, moisture, cooler air moving from the north. They saw some strong thunder showers. As for us, well, we just saw light showers move through. 0.07 of an inch in Huron. That was the most rain that was measured. As far as everybody else, just light showers now in Watertown and Sioux Falls, and that is all moving off to the southeast, like I said. Well, your no-wait forecast is calling for a gorgeous day tomorrow, 73 degrees, but we'll put up with some partly cloudy skies tonight with a low of 50. We'll have a complete look at the 5-day forecast, but let's continue News 5, 12 at 10 with Ted, Sherry, and John.
Thanks, Scott.
And in sports, Sioux Falls is the place to be for women's athletes.
Yep, third annual leadership conference for women's athletics as women's sports took center stage here in Sioux Falls, which began this morning, actually, downtown, after Tuesday's decision to keep the volleyball and basketball seasons where they are in high school athletics. South Dakota High School Activities Association holding their annual sports leadership conference. Meet the Challenge. This year's theme is South Dakota coaches and girl athletes gather to discuss various issues affecting girls' athletics in the state. The association feels it's important to continue stressing athletics as part of young girls' lives.
One of our goals is always to help increase the awareness and concerns of girls' sports and girls' activities, and so this is one way that we can help.
Women are enjoying their new opportunities, and they're having such a very good time with the support of people like this convention.
Sports Leadership Conference continues through tomorrow right here in downtown Sioux Falls. Coming up a little later on, Ted, some hockey highlights that you have to see to believe. I'll leave it like that.
All right, you'll keep us waiting. Thanks, John.
Traffic accidents are the main cause of death and injuries for teenagers in Sioux Falls, that according to the South Dakota Safety Council.
But efforts to prevent accidents and save lives shifted into gear this morning. The city of Sioux Falls donated a surplus police car for the Safety Council's teen defensive driving course. Use of the 1993 Crown Victoria will help teenagers learn valuable driving skills before they get their licenses.
Coming up on News 5, his background is in business, but he's growing into a different occupation, one he hopes will harvest great results. That's in tonight's People You Should Know.
A new logo was unveiled for the city of Sioux Falls with the hope of cashing in on tourism.
And it's a waiting game in Mitchell on a 3-year study regarding the water. We'll tell you what's at stake next on News 5.
My name's Jack Holliday. I decided to spend the evening alone. Actually,
Bowden's in next with our 5-day forecast.
And 78 Minnesota schools have closed in the past 7 years, but members of a small district in the southwestern part of the state say the proposal to close their school won't come without a fight. More News 5 is next.
News 5 at 10 is brought to you by Keystone Outreach.
I can remember when my life seemed hopeless. I had lost my self-respect, my job, and nearly lost my family. Alcohol controlled my life. Then I went to Keystone for help. At first I thought I was giving up something. Instead, I was given a whole new life. Keystone's recovery program was the beginning of my freedom. Call Keystone Treatment Center today at 1-800-992-1921.
On the next Cops, a man threatens his wife with a shotgun.
He just took his fist and hit me in the back of my head like this.
Now, police must confront the brutal wife beater.
That guy is not playing with full dead. You need to come on and talk so we can settle this right quick.
But can they defuse a deadly situation?
The husband supposedly has a gun.
On Cops.
KTWB 1019. Dan Ferris is back on the radio.
And Dan Christofferson is back in country music.
We're together again for the first time on The Outlaw. KTWB 1019.
Come on, join us early mornings on The Outlaw.
We're just a couple of guys who like to have fun.
Yeah, and give away a ton of free stuff.
With real chances of winning.
So there.
Na, 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 na.
It's Dan and Dan on The Outlaw. KTWB 1019.
Now it's time to Ask Rosie.
Maureen Crimmins from New Jersey writes, Dear Rosie, why did you pick the daytime to do your new variety show? Well, I'm up, you're up, the baby's up. What the hell?
Finally, something different in daytime.
Dear Rosie, is it true that your new daytime show will have a live band? Katie in Mahwah. Yes, Katie, it is. We thought a dead band was just too creepy.
The Rosie O'Donnell Show, premiering June 10th.
Weekdays after Regis and Kathy Lee. You're watching KDLT's News 5, the station that's working for you.
Well, how long has it been since we've had like a good 5-day forecast that you could brag about?
It's been a while. I think March. Wasn't it March 18th we hit 90 degrees, and ever since then it's been downhill. I'm not sure if I'm positive on that, but I think it was March 18th. So you finished your deck?
I did. Oh, no, it's in the process of being finished tonight. Hopefully it is finished when
we're all going to come over with some Coca-Cola and hang out this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, it sounds good. It looks like it's going to be a great forecast. Let's show you what it's looking like tonight. The high pressure is definitely moving in. That cold front and the low pressure system is moving off to the east. Now, we do still have some showers until about 12 o'clock tonight in extreme southeastern South Dakota, but most of that by midnight will push off, bringing in partly cloudy skies. Temperatures will be in the 40s tonight, so you can see cooler air behind that front. But by tomorrow, we will see that high pressure kind of pumping up that warmer air, and we'll see those temperatures rise into the upper 70s and lower 80s. 70s mostly here, and you get to the extreme northwestern South Dakota, we'll see some 80s around there. As far as Saturday, looks to be another gorgeous day. A cold front, more warmer air moving in. That cold front's going to weaken, and it's really not going to bring us any chance of showers around here. But the good news is this hot air that's going to be coming up, and the other good news, it's not going to be humid, so we're going to be able to enjoy a nice weekend. What's up, Sean Boyd? Cool temperatures to the east, and that will remain there. We'll just see warmer temperature for the next 3 to 4 days. Tonight, though, we'll see a temperature of 50 degrees. We'll see a couple of showers, ending by midnight, then remaining cloudy throughout the night. By tomorrow, warming up to 73 degrees. Get out and have some fun. Let's bring your 5-day forecast in for you. 83 on Saturday, 89 on Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, upper 80s again. You can't really find a cloud in the sky. And yes, Sherry, I think this is probably the first time we've had a clear 5-day forecast.
We'll call you Santa Claus.
Thank you.
Coming up in sports, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals.
And on the Diamonds, the amateurs take to the birdcage while the Canaries are out of town. John Wilson has the highlights. More news is next.
Motor Trend said it like this. Chevy CK Series has a range of gasoline power plants that darn near rip the GM Dynameter out of the floor. You get 200 horsepower with the standard 4.3-liter V6. That's more than Ford or Dodge. And Chevy still gets better fuel economy. The most dependable, longest-lasting trucks on the road year after year. In fact, in a recent survey, owners of trucks from 1991 ranked Chevy full-size trucks #1 for reliability. See your Heartland Chevy dealer today.
Shop for Father's Day at the Western Way Work Warehouse and choose from hundreds of great-looking Western suits and sport coats. Western shirts on sale in both long and short sleeves. You'll find Western hats in qualities from 2X to 20X. Western boots by all the famous makers. Or how about a new, more comfortable pair of work boots Dad would just love? And if that's not enough choices, get him a gift certificate so he can get what he wants. At the Western Way Work Warehouse in Rapid City and now, Sioux Falls.
If you drink water in Mitchell, you may want to take note. The city is in the process of a 3-year long...
Concerned about their water.
We got both largemouth and smallmouth bass in here, so it's nice to be able to come fishing and not find a lot of trash on the shore, and that just kind of adds to the pleasure of being out in the outdoors.
Bob Johnson loves to spend his days off fishing with the boys in Lake Mitchell, especially since the fish caught here can be eaten. Lake Mitchell is pretty clean, and since it's Mitchell's only source of drinking water, the city wants to keep it that way.
As the algae increases, the pH increases too.
Water samples have been collected since 1993 for a water quality study that will show what the water is like now so they can see how it changes. The results aren't back yet, but they do know the water has some phosphates in it.
I guess what we're trying to find out is, if that's so, how do we solve it? And the study he's supposed to help us, tell us what we could do to help cut down on the phosphate.
Residents of Mitchell are concerned about the future of their water supply since the purchase of a large area of land by an Iowa man along Firesteel Creek. Mitchell Mayor Don Daly says DeCoster Farms of Iowa, a hog confinement operation, has had a history of draining waste. Daly's concern is that the creek drains into Lake Mitchell.
When someone purchases land that's on a direct drainage area into a water supply, there's always reason for concern. My feeling is, regardless of how well anything is done, there's going to be accidents.
Mayor Daly says DeCoster hasn't told the city what his plans are for the land yet.
But that's leaving Mitchell residents wondering why Mr. DeCoster would buy land on a watershed if he wasn't going to use it for drainage. In Davidson County, Tracy O'Halloran, News 5.
Now, city officials want to stress that Mitchell's water supply presently is not in danger.
An emotional battle over the high school in Hills, Minnesota is dividing the community. The state agency is expected to decide this month whether the Hills Beaver Creek School District can ask voters for $5.5 million to renovate the high school. The Minnesota Fire Marshal recently cited the school for 50 fire code violations. Meantime, the issue of declining enrollment prompted a state study which recommends the 7th through 12th grade school close and bus those students 15 miles to Laverne. Locals are divided over the issue. Many say the Hills School is essential to the community, while others say it's no longer providing a first-class education.
When there's activities at night after school, they're close by. They don't have to stay in another town and kill a couple hours before, like if there's a game in between, they can go home. Parents see their kids, and I think it's more of a family-type atmosphere.
Because of the value of property in our community, we aren't able to provide, in my opinion, all the adequate courses that we need to offer our children.
The state is expected to make its recommendations sometime this month. In the last 7 years, 78 Minnesota schools have closed.
You're watching KDLT's News 5, the station that's working for you.
Stihl, maker of the #1 selling brand of chainsaw worldwide, also makes a full line of trimmers with enough power to handle almost any size job. It could be one of the more useful tools you'll ever own. Available in Stihl territory, starting at $79.95.
The Sony home theater experience is the TV, so the bigger the better, but it's also the sound.
You heard the audible line. Touchdown.
Buy Sony with 0% interest, no money down, and no finance charge for 1 year.
Quality Sony and quality service to back it up. Pro Audio, 6th and Main, downtown Sioux Falls.
But we'll watch the replay at my house.
Got a big screen?
Yes, a big screen.
Oh, that's
Pro Audio's where I bought it, and don't be late. That's what
It's no secret that I've dated a lot of women.
You were never going to call me! You thought you could waltz for the rest of your life and never bump into me again, but you were wrong, Jerry, you were wrong!
With mixed results.
Weeknights at 6:30.
No one knows business communication like AT&T, and no other dealer in Sioux Falls is authorized to sell AT&T telephone equipment, except Compro.
Okay, liberal. Oh, here it is, liberal. Votes for more welfare and as opposed workfare. See Tim Johnson.
He's sentenced today.
Judge Jean Paul Keene sentenced Michael Smith to life plus 10 years in prison. Keene told Smith that because he introduced the man who wanted Mary Kay Ross dead to the man who actually carried out the brutal stabbing death, he was as much a part of the conspiracy as if he'd gone to her apartment himself almost 1 year ago. Keene said he's rarely seen a crime carried out with such thoughtlessness, lack of remorse, or chilling sense of thrill. When Smith was asked to address the court before sentencing, he leaned back in his chair and said he had nothing to say.
Lawrence Ducheneau told the court today he's very sorry for shooting another man in the neck last year in Sioux Falls. Ducheneau made the statement before being sentenced to 6 years in prison. As part of his plea agreement to aggravated assault, 2 other charges against Ducheneau were dropped.
Dwayne Barras, Brad Hammer, and George Bass III were back in court today in Minnehaha County as their attorney tried to discredit the woman who's accusing the man of raping and beating her last summer at the Westwick Motel in Sioux Falls. The defense claims the woman has an alcohol problem and had made false reports to authorities before. The judge today denied a motion by the defense that the victim undergo psychiatric testing.
Construction has again proven deadly in South Dakota. Daryl Besmer of Burke was driving a road grader Friday when it rolled over in a construction zone on Highway 18 near Pickstown. He died at the scene. Another construction worker died on May 21st when the ditch he was working in collapsed on top of him.
A Wyndham, Minnesota family was forced off the road this morning as they tried to make their way to the Black Hills. According to South Dakota Highway Patrol troopers, strong winds caught the side of John Duscher's Ford Explorer and his camper, causing him to lose control. The truck then flipped on its side and slid into the median. The accident happened about 9 this morning near the Brandon exit on Interstate 90. Duscher had minor injuries. The other 3 passengers were not injured at all. A state trooper credits seatbelts.
A Watertown couple was injured when a motorist intentionally cut off their car, causing it to roll on Interstate 29 near Sioux Falls yesterday. 22-year-old Jeffrey Muller and his 21-year-old pregnant wife, Lisa, received minor injuries and have been released from the hospital. According to the State Patrol, the Mullers' car swung to the right to avoid the car when they lost control and rolled. The car that ran them off the road was blue with North Dakota license plates. One man was driving, a woman and 2 children. Authorities say the driver became angry with the Mullers because he thought they were passing too slowly. Well, as News 5 at 10 continues, a South Dakota beef herd has contracted a venereal disease that hasn't been diagnosed here in more than 20 years.
Only 1 case of the disease has been discovered, but the state extension office is urging cattle producers to use caution when bringing new cattle into their herds. The venereal disease can leave 30 to 40% of the herd infertile, a cause of late calving, and prevention is the best defense, because there's no drug available for treatment.
Good time for everybody else to kind of do a check, to make sure that we're not exposing ourselves to that.
Rosenberg says producers should test all incoming bulls or use artificial insemination to prevent infection.
On another note tonight, millions could be pumped into Rossold, South Dakota from a proposed ethanol plant. A study by South Dakota State University estimates the Tri-State Corn Processing Facility will generate $15 million annually, with a 5-year total topping $80 million. The study shows the construction phase alone is expected to top $15 million. The corn processing plant will also add 200 jobs to the area.
Meantime, the city of Worthing could lose $116,000 grant if residents vote down a bond issue next week for a new sewage lagoon. Worthing city officials say the grant, along with a $315,000 state loan, is needed to upgrade the town's sewer system to meet new Environmental Protection Agency laws. Voters in Worthing go to the polls next Tuesday. In World Watch tonight, he's been described as a Russian Ross Perot, and with even more than 10 million voters after this weekend's elections, he didn't win. Alexander Lebev will decide tomorrow if he will join Boris Yeltsin as his new defense minister. Russian journalists say he's hungry for power and needs the experience to build his credibility until the next presidential elections.
And if you're planning to fly on ValueJet anytime soon, you might want to think again. The FAA found what it calls serious deficiencies during an extensive investigation. As a result, the carrier is temporarily shut down at midnight Eastern Time tonight. The FAA says inspectors found system-wide problems with aircraft maintenance and quality assurance. The agency asked ValueJet to stop flying until the problems are corrected. And First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton responded with strongly worded answers today to questions from the Senate Whitewater Committee. Mrs. Clinton says she doesn't know how her law firm billing records showed up 2 years after they were subpoenaed. She also referred senators to a letter from her lawyer suggesting a savings and loan executive made up a conversation between himself and Mrs. Clinton.
Scott Bowden joins us now with a look at first weather.
It has 9 inches in the last 24 hours, and there's no end in sight. Weather forecasters say storms were likely to pop up again this evening, bringing more rain to the already rising Minnesota River.
Which is not good. I was on my way back from Minnesota last night, as a matter of fact, or yesterday afternoon, and it was just pouring the whole way home.
Yeah, they got most of the rain down in Iowa and Minnesota. What's 6 inches? Yeah,
6 inches.
6 inches. That's just amazing. 6 inches of rain.
Hopefully our forecast doesn't show too much rain.
Well, it does.
Not too much, though.
Not too much, though.
Good.
We're seeing a severe thunderstorm warning right now out in the west, right around Pennington and Meade counties, right here with this cell right here. This cell just popped up in the last couple of hours. Here's Meade County, here's Pennington, Rapid City's right about here, and Sturgis is right about there. This is moving to the east at 30 miles per hour. Right now, it's just packing 60-mile-per-hour winds. No hail or tornadoes reported with that storm. Well, currently, we're going to see this stationary front slowly move its way into South Dakota, and that's what's pushing all those storms out west. And by tonight, they'll be feeling it. Tomorrow, that could be moving to the central sections. And then by Wednesday, we'll see it move right over the eastern sections of South Dakota. And this thing's going to stall out, and it's going to bring us a lot of rain from Wednesday. And not a lot of rain, but a good chance of thunder showers from Wednesday to Sunday. Well, closer to home, turning clear to partly cloudy tonight. Patchy fog possible late, a temperature of 60 degrees. By tomorrow, warming up to 82. Partly sunny and warm east, chance of a thunder shower west river, and then moving east river later on. Let's take a look at our 5-day forecast, if we can. 84 on Wednesday, 86 on Thursday, 88 on Friday. We start to warm up, and Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we could see a good chance of thunder showers each one of those days. It looks like Thursday and Saturday. I don't know why we don't have thunder showers on Wednesday, Thursday, but we should. Well, finally, here's a look at our News 5 Pet of the Week. Take a look at this cute little guy. His name is Spike, but don't let the name fool you. This 12-week-old lab mix is a friendly, lovable puppy who loves to play chase. He's the last of a litter that was left abandoned near the Sioux Falls Humane Society. If you're interested in Spike, and I know a lot of you are, hurry down to the Sioux Falls Humane Society or call the number on your screen, 338-4441. I took a particular liking to Spike.
I'm guessing, like you said, at 5, he won't be around long.
I don't think so.
Somebody will pick him up. Good. Thanks, Scott.
Coming up in sports, the Aberdeen Pheasants look to make it 7 straight for their win streak.
And the Twins and Yankees battle in the Bronx. John Wilson has your highlights coming up. More news is next.
Like a rock, I was strong as I could be. Like a rock, nothing ever got to me.
At the end of the day, there's only one full-size pickup that's best in initial quality.
Like a rock,
Chevy CK. It's a dirty job, but somebody's got to do it.
Toshiba America invites you to the 5th Annual Mitchell Corn Palace Balloon Rally and Summer Solstice Arts Festival, June 22nd and 23rd. Launches at 6:30 a.m. and p.m., weather permitting, just north of town at the Mitchell Airport. The Arts Festival is free, 10 to 6 Saturday, 11 to 5 Sunday. Great food and live entertainment for your entire family at the Corn Palace Balloon Rally and Summer Solstice Arts Festival in Mitchell.
Toshiba America, in touch with Toshiba America.
Send email to KDLT at on-ramp.com.
There can only in the business, you could say, too. But Minnesota Vikings fans got a preseason treat tonight in Sioux Falls. Over 1,800 loyal purple and gold fans ventured out to Shield Sports in the Empire Mall to see Vikings All-Pro wide receiver Chris Carter. Carter took time out from his busy preseason workout schedule to visit Sioux Falls and sign quite a few autographs for some eager fans. In a short press conference before the 3-hour autograph session, Carter talked about having Warren Moon run the Vikings huddle for another 2 years.
It's good that we have him signed up. It's one less concern that we have the player that is going to lead us. And if we're going to ever go anywhere, he's going to be the person to lead us. So it's nice that they feel the same way as a lot of the players do. And it's nice he'll be able to finish his career there in Minneapolis.
Carter will enter his 10th pro football season this fall, spending 7 of those years with the Vikings. And although Carter is becoming an aging veteran, he can't wait for training camp to start.
If you're not ready by now, or if you're not in some type of shape by now, then you're not going to be ready in 5 weeks. You can't prepare for a 6-month season in 5 weeks. So I'll just kind of turn up my training just a little bit and do less traveling.
From Sioux Falls, Carter has a speaking engagement in Minneapolis tomorrow before traveling tomorrow afternoon back to North Dakota to sign more autographs. By the way, the Vikes open training camp on July 21st. Now to the Northern League, where it's game 2 of a 3-game
Senator in South Dakota, George McGovern, will be in Sioux Falls tomorrow to promote Terry. It's a book McGovern has written about his late daughter's struggle with alcohol.
And for some, gardening is a hobby, but for others, it's a link between the earth and spirituality. Not to mention it opens a window to the world. Meet Mary Ellen Conley, a plants woman with a passion, in tomorrow night's People You Should Know.
Meantime, tomorrow morning, weather going to cooperate for Sherry to get out there and finish her deck?
There you go. Hey, it's closer.
Let's check it out. That was a good one, Ted. Partly cloudy and warm. The good news tomorrow, though, it'll be less humid and temperature of 60 degrees. We'll be warming up again to 82.
18-year-old Laura Hicks has been battling spina bifida since she was born. And tonight, the South Dakota Air National Guard presented her with a Young Hero Medal, saluting her tremendous courage.
Just gotta think. Life's precious. I'm not a fighter. I'm a fighter. I'm not a quitter.
Laura and her family are taking a trip on Saturday, sponsored by the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They'll be going to Disney World, where Laura hopes to see a water performance of whales and dolphins. Good for Laura. Hope they have fun.
Wish them a great trip.
Yeah, looks fun.
John, you have a quick update on the game tonight.
I can't afford to go down in the lake like that.
A grandmother is relieved her 2 young grandsons lucky after their car ends up in the river at Falls Park.
A new business to Sioux Falls stands firm behind the saying, "We deliver." That's in tonight's News 5 Fortunes.
And the streets of downtown Sioux Falls are packed, but not with the usual Friday night traffic. This is News 5, 12 at 10. Good evening, I'm Sherry Kurtz.
And I'm Ted Koppe. Thanks for joining us tonight. Iowa Governor Terry Branstad and the State Emergency Management Team will tour northwest Iowa tomorrow.
The governor wants a first-hand look at the flooding in Lamar's, Iowa. 2 days of heavy rains continuing through last night pushed water over Highway 75 in Lamar's and out of the riverbanks. Sandbagging was also underway most of the night, and earlier volunteers helped sandbag and evacuate a family from their home and from an apartment building.
I don't know. Came home, went to open my door, and my door wouldn't open. And I looked through, and then I could see daylight through it.
My whole house just caved in, and then I heard Nikki yell Sarah, and I came out here, and I looked, and this is what we found. I don't know if it just sank in because it was just soaked on the ground, but we know that these apartments are old.
The heavy rains also flooded basements and caused structural damage to several other homes and businesses. Besides Highway 75, Highway 3 and several residential streets were partially covered with water. There is good news, however, tonight for people in that area. Waters have receded some in Lamar's as they head downstream, but that, of course, means southwest Iowa and eastern Nebraska tonight are under the threat of flooding.
2 young boys fishing with their grandmother at Falls Park in Sioux Falls are probably thankful tonight the Big Sioux River wasn't overflowing. Dorothy Daskin says her 9 and 12-year-old grandsons went to the car to get a Band-Aid, but she didn't know they had the car keys.
So they came back running, say the car was in the lake. I saw get away because I thought they was teasing us. And he said, oh, no. Oh, yes, it is. So we left running, you know. We threw down everything. The fireman said, oh, yes, your car is in the lake. I said, oh, no. And I left, come down here running, and that's what we saw.
Daskin thinks because of where the car was parked, the boys had to try to drive it for it to end up in the river. The boys did not get hurt. Sioux Falls authorities say no citations or fines will be issued in the mishap.
2 teenagers no longer face the death sentence for their believed role in the murder of a taxi driver in January near Pierre. In that same case, court-appointed defense attorneys for Sean Springer of Marshall, Minnesota, requested that Springer's trial be moved from Stanley County. They claim there has been a lot of adverse publicity that will affect his right to a fair trial. Circuit Judge Max Gores is expected to issue a preliminary ruling Monday on that request. Springer faces charges of murder, robbery, and kidnapping, but a first-degree murder charge has been dropped. Stanley County prosecutors will not comment on the reduced charge or why they decided against the death penalty.
A dispute between neighbors over the location of a property line has led to 5 deaths in Minnesota. Todd County, Minnesota authorities say 72-year-old Paul Crawford apparently shot his 41-year-old neighbor and his daughter in their yard, then went to his home, got another gun, and returned to shoot his neighbor's wife and son. Crawford then went home and shot himself. The sheriff said this morning that the mother and son's bodies were found in their home north of Sauk Center, Minnesota, and Crawford's body was found in his own yard. Authorities are testing 2 guns that they say they recovered to see if they were the weapons used in the shooting.
2 members of the country band Asleep at the Wheel made court appearances in Deadwood this week on marijuana possession charges. Authorities arrested the fiddle player and sound engineer for the band early Tuesday morning at a motel. Police say they got a search warrant after a report of marijuana smoke in the room. Charges were dropped against one of the men after the other admitted the drugs and paraphernalia belonged to him. Well, as News 5 12 at 10 continues, if you live in rural South Dakota, you may wake up on Sunday with a new phone company.
The sale of 55 U.S. West Communications telephone exchanges in the state becomes effective tomorrow at midnight. U.S. West and the 17 companies purchasing the exchanges work together closely to make sure the transfer would be as easy as possible for customers. You won't see any adjustments in rates initially, but for those with new companies, it could mean an easier point of contact.
People can walk in if they have questions about their telephone bill or they have questions about their telephone service. They'll have somebody that they can go to as opposed to, say, somebody that's distant.
I think it's an excellent opportunity for South Dakota to keep new companies and employ new people in these areas.
U.S. West representatives say the company plans to focus on the remaining customer base.
Well, 50 South Dakota farmers and ranchers are on their way to Washington, D.C. tonight to beef up competition in the meatpacking industry. The group will lobby Congress and participate in meetings with those in the U.S. Department of Agriculture and Justice Departments this week. Disaster-level prices in South Dakota have small farmers and ranchers anxious to restore competition to livestock markets that they feel have become dominated by 4 giant meatpacking plants.
Oh, okay. What's there? Hoping to try and get something done so the cattle aren't controlled by the main packers. They're kind of evident something's going wrong as the price of fat cattle went down, why the packers' profits went up.
The farmers and ranchers arrived in Washington today and will return to South Dakota Wednesday.
As many South Dakotans fly out to Washington, D.C. on a mission, some other prominent visitors are here on a different type of mission. A 5-member delegation from China's National Bureau of Surveying and Mapping in Beijing today toured the Aros Data Center near Garrettson. The group is here to participate in a 5-year program agreement to exchange information and technology with the center. China will use the information gained here to update maps for their country's economic development. Unabomber suspect Theodore Kaczynski will soon be getting a new home. Federal marshals in California say Kaczynski will arrive at the Sacramento County Jail from Montana Monday night. Kaczynski waived his right to fight the move where he was indicted earlier this week.
Meantime, about 17 years in prison, 37-year-old Kevin Lee Green is going home tonight. Green has been incarcerated at one of California's toughest prisons since 1979, convicted of killing his unborn child in a beating that left his pregnant wife permanently brain damaged. Despite several memory loss for his wife, she testified that her husband was the attacker. Green's conviction was changed this week, however, after DNA testing proved he is not the killer. Physical evidence left by the attacker wasn't tested until now and matches another man, Gerald Parker, who's in prison for another crime and faces charges in a string of unsolved murders. Meantime, in Washington, it seems First Lady Hillary Rodham Clinton will not have to testify before a Whitewater jury after all. Earlier today, the possibility of having Mrs. Clinton go before the jury to testify about personal loans she and the president took out during his 1990 gubernatorial campaign were raised. Scott Bowden joins us now in the Weather Center with that first look at weather. For the longest day of the year, it really wasn't too much to complain about out there.
Not at all, Sherry. And I'm wearing the sunglasses tonight because we want to remind everybody that Zippity Zoo days are tomorrow, and we're hoping everybody comes out. And I'm also just hoping that that sun stays out long enough until the clouds move in and the thunder showers move in. By the way, Patrick, I have your glasses, buddy. Let's go to the graphic right now and show you what's going on. You can see that cold front is slowly moving in with a low pressure system. Now, what that means for us, by Sunday night, you're going to feel a lot drier and cooler air moving in, and that low pressure system is going to spark off some showers on Sunday night. But then after Sunday night, expect the best temperatures in the lower 70s, no humidity. It's just looking to be a perfect day. Let's go to the graphic right now and show you the satellite loop of the last 24 hours. You can see the big system that pushed off to the east last night. Now we're watching another system come off the Rockies, and that's slowly pushing through Nebraska. Flooding warnings down there right now, as far as severe thunderstorm warnings and watches as this strong system pushed to the south. Now, it's not going to lift to the north because we have that cold front that's just to the south of us. It's going to stay right along that line. So no more showers really to talk about, or thunder showers, but we are going to see a lot of rain down into Nebraska, even down over into Wyoming, rather, and Colorado, and this is slowly moving on. You can see this front drawn out right here, and there's some showers sparking off in Iowa, and if there's a place that doesn't need more rain, it's certainly portions of Iowa. Well, this will all move off tonight, and we're going to see this system move in by tonight into tomorrow, but I think tomorrow we're going to see the sun out in Sioux Falls in the morning and afternoon, but then by nighttime, we're going to see those thunder showers erupt. Well, as far as temperatures this hour, it looks like this: 68 in Pierce, 68 in Aberdeen, 65 in Watertown, 68 degrees right now in Sioux Falls. A mostly clear night, a beautiful night out there. Humidity's low, 65%. The winds are out of the north at 7, so that's bringing the cooler, drier air in, and the barometer looks like it's rising from last hour. Well, today we started off at 65, warmed up to 82. Now our normals are 82 and 58, right on the money today as far as the normals go. Records 110 and 34. No precipitation since midnight. We're still well below normal. Sunrise tomorrow morning is at 5:46. Well, tonight you can expect just some clouds lingering around, not really much to talk about. A temperature of 58 degrees. By tomorrow, it looks like the sun's going to be out in the morning, and then by late afternoon and tomorrow night, we're going to see those thunder showers. But we'll see a warm temperature of 76. All the 5-day forecast next. Well, let's pitch it back to Ted and Sherry.
Thanks, Scott.
You know, it's hard to imagine with the Olympics coming up that a lot of the athletes still don't know if they're in or not.
Nope, they're still trying to make the U.S. Olympic team, and the way it looks, these trials, I think the U.S. are going to be bringing home a lot of medals. Just 28 days away from opening ceremonies to the Summer Games in Atlanta. Tonight, the U.S. trials continuing with the decathlon taking center stage down in Atlanta. And we pick it up the second heat of qualifying for the 100-meter sprint. Dan O'Brien way out in front. He hits the tape at 10:33. In the fourth heat, Chris Huffins just explodes out of the blocks. This heat, not even close. Huffins would hit the tape at 10:22. That's a new world record for the 100-meter decathlon. After 3 events, Huffins leads after 3 events with Dan O'Brien in second in the men's decathlon. By the way, the U.S. Olympic trials will continue tomorrow right here in KDLT, I believe 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So
those guys are machines.
They are.
Man.
They're in great shape, and, you know, the decathlon, that's one of the toughest events in the Olympics. You know, you do have to be in shape, Ted.
Obviously, I'm impressed.
Coming up later, another wild one. The Canaries just scoring a ton of runs, but they seem to be giving up just as many. We'll update you later on.
Another football score.
Yeah, exactly.
Football sounding score. Thanks. Rush hour in Sioux Falls can be real annoying, but tonight the streets of downtown were filled with some head-turning traffic.
Several pieces of rolling history made a pit stop on Phillips Avenue tonight. They're all part of the Coral Great Race.
And it involves about almost 90 cars, and they're all pre-World War II cars from the 30s and the 20s, and they're traveling across the country.
The vintage cars, trucks, and motorcycles are racing across the United States and into Canada. The first one to cross the checkered finish wins $250,000. Before tonight's race, though, some local car buffs also displayed their own classics in a car show. The winners were made honorary great racers. $250,000. That's a lot of money.
I wonder if they can speed.
Probably not.
I doubt it. Still to come on News 5, if you feel like ordering in, there's now more to choose from than pizzas and Chinese. You'll meet the 2 friends who've made it possible in tonight's News 5 Fortunes.
Then get ready for a wild ride. We'll give you a peek at the world's most elaborate amusement ride. We'll give you a hint. It took 65 million years to make.
And find out why many of the remaining cast members from the American classic Wizard of Oz are in Minnesota. Stay with us. What a... Ever been hungry but not had enough time to go out and get something? In tonight's News 5 Fortunes, we look at a business with you in mind, one that you don't have to go to. It's a business that comes to you.
And that's it.
Todd Doyle never gets a break over the lunch hour. Neither does his business partner, John Egan. They don't have dinner time free either, but that stands to reason. They own Empire Restaurant Express. It's a delivery service for restaurants who don't deliver and customers who want them to.
Full order comes with a choice of soup or salad. And
right now, Todd's manning the office taking lunch orders.
I have a fettuccine Alfredo with chicken, a full order.
That's faxed to the restaurant, and then John or one of the other drivers takes care of the rest. Egan says the idea for the business, oddly enough, came to him and his friends when they were hungry.
A bunch of bachelors sitting around one day, wondering where we're going to eat, who's going to go get it, and who's going to buy.
Of course, they were watching football. John thought if we're willing to pay for something like this, I bet a lot of other people are, too. A year and a half after starting, they found a lot of people are. Terry Auk is just one of Empire Express's regulars.
We have a lot of in-house meetings here. It's very convenient. You get a nice variety of food. You get healthy food. They deliver it hot right to the table with all the utensils.
They've even printed up this menu with 11 of their most popular Sioux Falls restaurants. But the real sell? Dinner at home is easy.
I like the idea.
All for $3.50. Not a bad deal.
Not bad at all. And I like the idea that they go to different restaurants. I know they do Theo's and different ones like that, too, that don't deliver.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, TGIF, but what does that spell for the weekend? Scott Bowden is in with our 5-day forecast in just a few minutes.
And in news, the number of registered voters in Minnehaha County is on the rise. We'll drive home the facts about why.
And by tomorrow, it'll be slowly moving into the west, and that's going to spark off some showers as it moves on to the east and as it makes its way into Nebraska is actually when it makes its way into Minnesota and Iowa, that's going to push all the moisture off. High pressure will build in. We'll see cooler and drier air. It's looking to be a great forecast. Tonight, though, you can expect clear to partly cloudy skies, turning less humid, a temperature of 58 degrees. By tomorrow, we'll be warming up to 76. Now, some sun will be in the morning and the afternoon, but it'll be followed by some clouds. Thunder showers will arrive late in the day, and some could turn severe late at night. So stay tuned to News 5, and we'll run crawls across your screen if we do have severe weather. We'll see a temperature of 76, and the winds will be out of the northeast still from 10 to 15 miles per hour. Well, let's take a 5-day forecast in and show you what it looks like the rest of the, there we go, rest of the week. 78 on Sunday, and then Monday, we take the thunder showers out of the forecast, start to cool down in this lower 70s to upper 70s. Then we warm back up on Wednesday. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday are just looking gorgeous. Right in time to go back to work.
There you go. It's always the way it happens.
Yeah.
But at least we'll be good for Zippity Zoo. Don't forget it. Can we plug it one more time?
One more time.
Thanks.
Coming up on News 5 at 10, the Sioux Falls Canaries face another division leader tonight in Fargo.
And the Twins and Tigers tangle at Tiger Stadium. John Wilson has the highlights and scores in sports. More news is next.
I believe that when the customer comes into my office and comes and sits at my desk, I want to fulfill every need that they have.
It's a bank that's small enough to provide personal service to the customer, yet it's big enough to where we are able to offer the products and services that our customers need.
That's my favorite part, is the fact that I can make it happen here at Home Federal.
Beginning July 1st, the Sioux Falls Sanitary Landfill, which serves our five-county region, will no longer accept printed paper products, corrugated cardboard, and plastic and metal containers. This means your recyclable items will have to be separated from your garbage. Ask your garbage hauler for more information on sorting and pickup days. All residents will be required to recycle these items beginning July 1st. Start now. Reduce, reuse, recycle. For more information, contact the City Health Department or your local waste hauler.
Voter registration in Minnehaha County is suddenly on the rise.
Some attribute the success to the new motor voter law.
Tonight, Beth Fuller tells us how people here are signing up in a unique way.
Bad idea. Since taking effect a year and a half ago, the motor voter law has succeeded in signing up more than 5,000 new voters in Minnehaha County. So you might think that most voters would register where they get their driver's licenses, but in Minnehaha County, that's not the case. Only about 650 people have signed up at the driver's license office, but 2,000 have by mail, and nearly that many have registered at public assistance agencies like the Department of Social Services. The Department of Human Services and the Armed Forces have also made a difference.
When someone comes in to apply, the first thing we do is offer them the opportunity to register to vote or not.
Instead of leaving applications in a box separate from other forms, the DSS personally offers registration cards to applicants, and that's how they account for their high 50% acceptance rate.
And I think it gives them an opportunity where there are probably people who probably would not go down to the auditor's office and get a registration form and fill it out.
And Minnehaha County Auditor Sue Rouse says Republican fears that more Democrats are found at those kinds of agencies are not justified here. Republicans still hold the advantage in Minnehaha County. Of the nearly 79,000 voters, the GOP is ahead by 4,000.
Registration between Republicans and Democrats has stayed fairly stable. What it has done is increase our overall registration quite a lot.
But the success of the program will be measured this fall when we see how many of the newly registered get out and vote. In Sioux Falls, Beth Fuller, News 5.
Skipping to Minnesota, for many visitors to Grand Rapids this weekend, there's literally no place like home. Judy Garland's home, that is. Garland is best known for playing Dorothy in the movie classic Wizard of Oz. And today, her home of 4 years, which is now over 100 years old, was dedicated and open to visitors. Some of the visitors included 3 of the 17 Munchkins from the Wizard of Oz.
She's not only really dead, she's really most sincerely dead.
Other visitors included the man who bought the last pair of Garland's ruby slippers and a historian who's making a documentary about Garland that will air in December.
You're watching KDLT's News 5, the station that's working for you.
Heal me, console me, tell me it'll guide me, stand beside me, and comfort through the night. You have the power within you, granted from above, to strengthen body and spirit with your special kind of love. You're caring for life. No one does it quite like you, caring for life. Always there to help me through, no matter where you go or where your heart may rest. When I'm with you, I know I'm with the best.
Later on The Tonight Show, it's Miss Piggy. You work with Miss Piggy. A little bit of a ham. And superstar Garth Brooks with comedian Carol Leifer and eerie similarities.
In music, Dolly Parton saying 9 to 5.
In politics, Hillary Clinton may be doing 5 to 9. Then Conan's got Nick Turturro, NBC tonight.
Okay, ready? Let's go. Now twist, and again, and turn, and toss. Just great. Now reach, and bend, and push, and turn, and slice, and stop.
Introducing the new chicken pasta Caesar salad and the new Mardi Gras pasta salad. They're gonna work out just fine.
Now reach, and push, and smile.
Perkins, breakfast, dinner, and everything in between. KDLT is spreading its wings to Channel 41 Watertown, Channel 28 Aberdeen, Channel 47 Millbank, and Channel 23 Pierce.
Like we were talking about earlier, the Canary score is kind of reflecting my bowling score.
Exactly. In the last 3 games, 44 runs for the Canaries, but they've only won one of those 3 games, including tonight. They're still on the field, as a matter of fact. In the Northern League, Canaries and Red Hawks have christened in a new stadium tonight up in Fargo, as Sioux Falls looks to close in on the division-leading Red Hawks. We check the scoreboard. Fargo's batting right now in the bottom of the 9th with 2 outs. Canaries lead this one 13-11. A bench-clearing brawl to end the 7th. Aaron Itrola was ejected from the Red Hawks. Also, Paul Carey was ejected. Paul Carey, a home run on the night. Still 2 outs in this one. We'll give you a final if we get it before the end of news time. Another North Dakota-South Dakota matchup up in the Prairie League is the Dakota Rattlers from Bismarck meet the Pheasants at Fossum Field in Aberdeen tonight, and the Pheasants come out on the losing end of this one, 14-6, the final. Aaron Gertison, though, 3 hits on the night. He extends his hitting streak to 14 games. The Pheasants drop to 10-5, same 2 teams on the field all weekend long at Fossum Field in Aberdeen. Now up to the majors. The Twins and Tigers tangling again at Tiger Stadium as converted starter Rick Aguilera looks for his 2nd win of the season for Minnesota, and this would be a shutout. Very unusual at Tiger Stadium. 0-0, bottom of the 6th. That's Travis Fryman looping a double in front of a diving Rich Becker. Bob Higginson comes around to score. It's 1-0 Tigers. Same inning. Big Cecil hits this soft liner to right. Matt Lawton can't handle the bounce. Travis Fryman scores easily. It's 2-0. Starting pitcher Felipe Lira, looking good all night, pitches a 4-hitter, his first complete game of the year, as the Tigers shut out the Twins. The final 2-0 from Tiger Stadium. The Royals are at Camden Yards tonight facing Baltimore. It was the Orioles' night. Bottom of the 5th, Cal Ripken rips this one over the left field fence. Cal's 13th homer of the year. 6-1 Birds at this point. Next batter is B.J. Surhoff. He likes the pitch. He gets it and lofts this one out into the fans in right. 7-1 Orioles, but it would be Cal's night. Here, with the swing, it's in his wheelhouse. 2nd homer of the game. 5 RBIs on the night for the Iron Man as the Birds go on to win this one 9-3 over Kansas City. The Yankees take a pair from the Tribe, so the Twins still don't pick up any ground on the division leaders. Elsewhere, Milwaukee over California, that game in the 7th. As Chicago, 7th straight loss for the White Sox as Seattle cleans the White Sox 12-2, and Toronto out in front of Oakland 3-2 in the 4th. The Rockies just a game out of first place in the West, facing Philly at the Vet. Bottom of the 2nd, Phillies' Pete Incaviglia ties the game at 1 with this solo shot to right field. The game would be close throughout. We go to the top of the 9th. Colorado's Vinny Castilla crushes this one to left center field.
The night off. Well, South Dakota Governor Bill Janklow took to the airwaves tonight to make an unusual plea. On South Dakota Public Television tonight, Janklow asked us to open our homes and adopt more than 700 children living in state custody.
The government can put a roof over a child's head. We can put food in their mouth. We can take care of their medical needs. We can send them to school, and we can put clothes on their back. But government has no emotions. We can't love, we can't hug, we can't smell, we can't touch, we can't relate to human beings.
All 719 children are in state custody because they've been the victims of abuse or neglect. The governor also urged people to consider becoming foster parents, or if that's not possible, take time to befriend and work as a role model for a child. According to Janklow, most of these children need a permanent home and love to grow into responsible adults. Meantime, while Governor Janklow is asking for more adoptive parents, he's also asking for less state vehicles. Janklow plans to cut the state's vehicle fleet by 600 cars in the next year, while at the same time consolidating vehicle management into one office. Right now, state-owned cars are scattered throughout different departments, making it hard for management to keep track of maintenance and insurance costs. But starting next week, the Fleet and Travel Management Office in Pierre will take charge.
I think we'll get the support from fleet management that we need. If we need a vehicle, we ought to be able to get it. If we have excess vehicles, then we don't need them, and we ought to give them to somebody else in state government who can use them.
The state plans to sell at least 600 high-mileage cars and trucks at auctions in the next year. Well, a Sioux Falls woman is injured tonight after being hit by a car. 18-year-old Mandy Eckhoff of Sioux Falls was crossing at 49th Street and Southeastern Drive in the crosswalk when a car driven by Richard Schlechter, also of Sioux Falls, began pulling through the intersection. Eckhoff was taken to a Sioux Falls hospital. The driver was issued a citation for careless driving. According to a reporting police officer, Eckhoff's injuries do not appear serious. And a 67-year-old Sioux Falls woman had minor injuries after rolling her car this afternoon at the corner of 26th Street and Wayland Avenue in Sioux Falls. Mary Dressing was eastbound in the 1400 block of 26th Street when her car hit a light pole and then a tree, which forced the vehicle to roll onto its top. Dressing was taken to McKinnon Hospital and treated for minor injuries. Authorities say it appears Dressing may have had a seizure just before that accident. Well, jury selection was completed and testimony began today in the trial of a prominent Watertown physician accused in a hit-and-run accident that killed a pedestrian. Dr. G. Robert Bartron has been charged in the death of 68-year-old Hugo Frentz last November. Frentz was walking along Highway 81 near Watertown when he was hit. A witness claims Bartron's white Cadillac left the scene of the accident. Police witnesses today discussed the discovery near the Bartron Clinic of the car believed to be involved in that accident. State's Attorney Roger Eliason says the jury could get the case as early as Wednesday. 6 men and 7 women were selected for the jury in Bartron's trial. And on to another story, Public gossip about the January murder of a cab driver in Stanley County may cause the trial of an accused teenager to be moved to another city. Circuit Judge Max Gore says media coverage of Michael Hare's murder has not been excessive, but he may transfer the trial of Sean Cameron Springer to Martin because of extensive local gossip in Fort Pierre. The 17-year-old Springer is accused of murder, kidnapping, and robbery. Authorities say Springer and 14-year-old Paul Dean Jensen Jr. of Pierre were arrested shortly after Hare was killed. Judge Gores told prosecutors to decide by late Wednesday if a community attitude survey should be done or if they'll simply agree that the trial should be moved. Springer's trial is set to begin August 5th. Jensen's trial is set to start on September 3rd. New developments tonight in that fire that destroyed a church in Westbrook, Minnesota last week. Police say they have 2 suspects. They're 2 boys, ages 10 and 12. Fire investigators say they'll turn their reports over to the Cottonwood County State's Attorney to determine possible charges. The fire last week gutted the Grace Lutheran Church. Well, many of South Dakota's outdoor opportunities will be seen through a different light in the near future. Members of the South Dakota Department of Tourism today announced that the Outdoor Writers Association of America has selected Sioux Falls as their 1999 national conference site. The conference, which will be held at the new Sioux Falls Convention Center, will bring in nearly 1,000 delegates with special interest in outdoor recreation, conservation of natural resources, and vacation travel. Newspaper writers, photographers, authors, and artists will be among those who will experience South Dakota's outdoor opportunities firsthand and share their knowledge of the region with their readership and their viewers.
The map as an outdoor destination. It's not only just a place to come shopping. I mean, everyone knows that Sioux Falls has great shopping. Has a great business climate, but it also has a lot of outdoor opportunities.
Organizers say the direct economic returns of the conference could reach over $1.5 million, and the long-term economic benefits could exceed tens of millions of dollars. In World Watch tonight, things are not going well outdoors in the Southwest. Wildfires driven by high winds in the parched region are driving hundreds from their homes. Fires in Southern California, Utah, Arizona, and New Mexico have burned thousands of acres. One fire in Nevada was accidentally started with gasoline. It's threatening 100 homes. In an exclusive from NBC News, the government has found that tens of millions of cheap plastic mini blinds contain high levels of lead, dangerous to children. Intense tests just completed show the blinds shed dust loaded with lead that's easily picked up by children and ingested. Parents with children under 6 are advised to remove the mini blinds and dispose of them. Studies show even slightly elevated levels of lead can cause learning problems. And Paula Jones's lawyer is hopeful of eventual victory, but a sexual harassment suit against President Clinton won't be going to trial anytime soon. The Supreme Court will decide first whether presidents are immune from civil suits while in office. The White House says it's pleased the court has recognized the importance of the issue.
Forgot about it. Speaking of anniversaries, look at this young lady over here. 70 years old today. Happy birthday. Your name is?
Joan Hurdy.
Joan, where are you from? Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Sioux Falls. I'm sorry, I can't read. That's all right.
It's not printed too well.
That's all right. Happy birthday. Is coming to New York part of your birthday celebration?
Right.
Very nice. I hope you're enjoying our time. Thank you very much.
The Hardys say they watch the Today Show on KDLT every morning. Well, still to come on News 5 at 10, injured following a car accident in Sioux Falls. 2 cars collided at Madison Street and West Avenue shortly before 3 o'clock this afternoon. A vehicle driven by 88-year-old Milford Kongsley of Sioux Falls apparently failed to yield while crossing West Avenue and was struck in the driver's door, then pushed through the median. Kongsley died. His wife Elizabeth, who was a passenger in the car, was injured and taken to a hospital. Jared Sargent of Sioux Falls and his passenger James Lamfer were injured and taken to a Sioux Falls hospital as well. Another South Dakota driver is dead after a 1-car rollover accident near Alcester. 17-year-old Melissa Turner died yesterday morning when she lost control of her vehicle and it rolled. The South Dakota Highway Patrol reports she was alone in that vehicle. Well, the defense has already rested in the case of a prominent Watertown physician, Robert Bartron, who's charged in a fatal hit-and-run accident last November. The jury is expected to begin deliberations tomorrow. Bartron took the stand today and testified that he had no recollection of events surrounding the death of 68-year-old Hugo Frentz, who was allegedly hit by Bartron's car. Yesterday, prosecutors said test results indicate that alcohol or other drugs were not a factor in the accident. Today, Bartron testified that he did not stop at the scene because he was confused. Earlier today, a neurologist told jurors that Bartron suffers from a medical condition which results in blood loss to the brain. The trial continues in Watertown. Well, one thing that won't continue tomorrow, drinking alcoholic beverages at Wall Lake Park or beach. The new law signed today by the Minnehaha County Commission takes effect immediately, and if you're caught breaking it, you could face $200 fines and 30 days in jail. The only exceptions are for family reunions or large group picnics, but then you need to get permission from the Minnehaha County Commission and a special permit to have alcohol in the park or on the beach. But there still is no law prohibiting drinking in a boat on the lake. It's a different battle around Lake Madison, where residents are fighting to form their own township, but that fight has fallen to defeat once again. For the past 6 months, residents surrounding Lake Madison have been petitioning the Lake County Commission to let them form their own township. Currently, Lake Madison is divided between 2 townships. The citizens for a new township propose that portions of these 2 townships that directly surround the lake be made into one called Lake Madison Township. Today marked the second attempt by this group to have commissioners accept their petitions. An attempt earlier this year was defeated for legal reasons. This time, the commission determined that a new township was extreme in resolving the concerns for lake area residents.
That were presented, it just didn't, it seemed like their expectations of the new township were quite high to me, that they'd be able to hire a constable, pave roads on a very small township budget.
Outbursts arose from the new township proponents after the commissioners made their decision because they don't think the commission is representing their needs.
Well, it's tough because remember the law says the people will determine how many townships they desire, how many they need and require.
The Lake County Commission today defeated the proposed township unanimously. One commissioner did abstain from voting because he owns property near the lake. The township proponents say they'll appeal that decision. Well, people in another part of Lake County are concerned with another problem, keeping the city of Madison from flooding like it did back in 1993. Following that flood, a study was conducted to determine possible flood prevention projects for Madison's future. But now, one of the recommendations that come out of the study is raising some questions and causing some controversy in and around the city. Andrea Barber has the story from Madison.
It's pictures like these that remind the people of Madison what floodwaters can do to their city. So in an effort to prevent future flooding, a $1.8 million detention dam program is being proposed. Other recommendations have been made toward flood mitigation, but when looking closely at the possibilities, officials say the most economical long-term solution is to build a dam.
For the big rainfall, for the big flood, the detention dam is the only means of reducing that flow, controlling that flow through town.
The proposed dam would be built just north of town. Construction of this project will take 223 residences out of the floodplain, but others who live right in the area where the dam would be built say it will bring the floodwaters into their backyards.
Where we're standing right now is about 1,704 feet. The spillway in the dam will be about the 701-foot level. So all my outbuildings, would be underwater, and, it'd be close enough to the house where it would, they wouldn't feel comfortable with us staying here.
But Giles says before he really begins fighting the proposal, he will listen to what the town has to offer him as compensation for forcing him to move. However, everything remains on hold for now, and the ultimate decision of whether or not to build the dam lies in the hands of the public. In Madison, Andrea Barber, News 5.
Concerned people gathered enough petition signatures to send the proposed dam issue to a vote. That election is set for July 16th. 4 members of the same Minnesota family were laid to rest today. Friends and family gathered today in Sauk Center to say a final farewell to the victims of a property line dispute last Friday. More than 200 people filled the pews at this Catholic church in Sauk Center. The victims of the shooting were 41-year-old Warren Schlogel, his 39-year-old wife Marcy, and their 2 youngest kids, 12-year-old Jody and 11-year-old Eric. Their oldest girl was not home at the time of the shootings, and she is the only family member that survived. Last Friday, 72-year-old Paul Crawford shot and killed the family because of a disagreement over a boundary line between their property. After shooting the 4 family members, Crawford went home and killed himself. Moving on to world news tonight, at least 11 people are reported killed after a truck bomb exploded at a U.S. Air Force housing area near Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. U.S. officials say about 160 other people are wounded. President Clinton has vowed, quote, "The cowards who committed this murderous act must not go unpunished." Here in the U.S., a silent Theodore Kaczynski has been arraigned in a California courtroom in 4 Unabomber attacks, including 2 fatal blasts. Kaczynski pleaded innocent. The former professor could face the death penalty if convicted in the case. And in Atlanta, the weather's the worry for next month's Olympics. Dehydrated spectators, even more than dehydrated athletes. At last week's trials, it was a scorching 114 degrees on the track, 90 in the shade. Olympic organizers plan to have plenty of free water in hand all over the games. The Red Cross will have a multitude of patrols, but medical emergencies in packed venues could prove a challenge. Of course, in addition to drinking lots of water, organizers will encourage spectators to use sun protection. And it almost sounds like the spectators should plan on training as well as the athletes.
Yeah, really.
And I don't know, from the way it sounds, we should probably do some training for the weather coming up. Going to be kind of hot.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to maybe turn on your air conditioners tonight and let it run probably until Saturday. You ready for that, Ted?
Got mine running.
I certainly got mine running. Let's go to the almanac right now and show you where we started today. Started off at 61 degrees. Warmed up to a warm Palace for 2 new locker rooms. Also, the backstage area will be renovated. The construction is part of a $1 million renovation project. Previously, new seats, a sound system, air conditioning, and a basketball floor were added. The backstage area is expected to be complete for the Corn Palace Festival in September, and the locker rooms will be done by the first part of October. Well, when we come back on News 5, we've been hearing a lot about recycling mandates soon to be in. Maury Forsyth of Brookings and Dwayne Plooster of Corsica were in the building or an adjacent one when they were destroyed. Also injured were Jason Lertz of Madison, the son of Lake County Sheriff Herb Lertz. He received minor injuries. Also, Bobby Castleman of Ellsworth Air Force Base had minor injuries. About 35 people from Ellsworth are stationed at the air base in Saudi, helping enforce United Nations sanctions against Iraq. In World Watch tonight, a somber ceremony at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware where the remains of 19 servicemen killed in the Saudi Arabia bombing arrived today.
The Air Force band played taps and Purple Hearts were pinned to flag-draped coffins. President Clinton will attend memorial services in Florida on Sunday.
Meantime, the president and leaders of the other major industrialized nations say they're uniting to fight terrorism. They've agreed to boost cooperation among law enforcement agencies. Tomorrow, Clinton will seek tougher extradition guidelines and efforts to make it harder for terrorists to cross borders. And the Columbia astronauts are going for the gold in space. Hitting high above the Earth today, astronaut Chuck Brady carried a torch, with a fake flame of course, while taking part in a medical test. The space torch is due to meet up with the Earthbound torch next month when the flames make a run through Cape Canaveral. Well, Scott, sports, or I said that last time, didn't I?
Yeah, you
always drive their equipment to this bridge, which is about 2 miles away.
The whole thing should be straightened out.
And then there's the safety issue.
The bridge is at an angle to the road. You can't see the oncoming traffic from either side. School bus full of kids come one direction, car come from another. We're looking at an accident down the road. Not enough room for 2 vehicles to fit through that bridge.
The county plans to remove the bridge and build a more modern one by early 1998. The project will cost an estimated $366,000. 80% will be covered by federal bridge replacement funds.
There aren't many things left to remind us of those old people.
But historical guardian Carol Mashik says the bridge's value can't be measured in dollars.
We've got to start thinking now, because if we keep tearing down at the rate we're tearing down, we might as well forget any tourism money here.
Mashik doesn't want to see the bridge lost to benefit the few families living in the area, and that's why she's hoping someone will come to the rescue and buy it.
And the county has to pay them the same amount of money it would cost to tear it down. They could move it to their pastures or to a recreation area on their own property.
The bridge could be yours for just a few dollars, but it's the tens of thousands